What are the main differences of life today and 40 years ago? To answer this question, EMAS conducted a survey among 1,000 Austrians and asked for the main differences of our time and the time of 1970. If we take a look at the biggest changes in the people's eyes, we find as most important issue the heavily increased crime rate mentioned by 70% of the Austrian population. About 6 out of 10 adults consider it characteristic that the job-related requirements have increased during the last 40 years. The same number of adults thinks that nowadays we have to be more concerned about the old age insurance than in the past. 58% of the respondents believe that people change their partner more often and are less willing to commit these days. Let's have a look at the mid-level of the mentioned changes. Here we consider some socio-political changes that are very often mentioned in the media. Only slightly more than half of the respondents states that equal rights of men and women have increased in the past 4 decades. Also 50% of the respondents think that life has become more superficial in comparison to former times. More than 40% of the Austrians note profit-seeking as a considerable aspect. Only 4 out of 10 Austrians believe that nowadays there is a stronger environmental awareness than 40 years ago, even though the ecological movement was only in its beginning phase at that time. And finally, every third respondent sees an increase of freedom and of the rights of every single person during the last decades. Finally, we consider the end of the scale and look which changes the Austrians classify as least noticeable. For example, only every 5th respondent believes that today there is more social justice than in former times. An equally small number of persons states that today citizens have a stronger voice in policy than in the past. Even only 11% of the people believe in a rising helpfulness. Least of all, the population is of the opinion that Austria has become more vivid and more beautiful because of immigration. Only 8% of the respondents share this opinion.